Well, so last week for our little lesson, we did some games against a 25k bot, or I think maybe just one game, and then we reviewed it. I thought today, if y'all are down for it, maybe we play against a stronger bot, but we use a 5-stone handicap on a 13 by 13 because that's the green belt test. There are a lot of people who are kind of stuck at the green belt test, right? Or maybe we don't even need a bot. We could just do it between us. Maybe that would be fun. Chris, would you be down for just destroying me with a 5-stone handicap on 13 by 13?
Sure. Well, I'm only 3Qs, so
Well, yeah. So you're
I'll give.
stronger than me, and I'm gonna give you 5 stones. So
Oh, you're giving me five
yeah,
stones.
because that's what they have to do to pass the green belt test.
All right.
Okay, cool. No, yeah, I know. Yeah, the other way would be tough.
I was about
Um,
to say, I mean, I probably only give you maybe 3 or 4, probably 3 stones.
I mean, he needs all 5.
and then um, and then if you don't mind, what we can do is sort of talk it through from both sides.
He lost last night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
All right, I'm gonna add you as a friend for my streaming account. I don't know why I'm separating the accounts right now. That's just I don't know.
I was wondering the same thing, but whatever you want to do.
I don't have a specific reason, but that's just what it is.
Prior to the tournament ranks.
Okay, so let's do
He just-
13 by
He wants
13.
to smurf so he can beat lower people up.
Yeah. We'll do 30-second Baoyomi. Actually, let's just give it a 60-second Baoyomi just in case, we want to stop and talk
We're
about
talking.
something. Yeah.
Uh,
And we'll do 0.5 Komi with a 5-stone handicap, and I will be playing white. And so you are going to play black and obliterate. Sample belt. Technically, you haven't actually passed the belt test yet, Chris. So this can actually be your green belt.
I hope I can pass
Yeah,
it.
you
I'll
were
feel really bad if I don't.
you were awarded it. What do you call it? Honorary? You have an honorary green, white, green, and brown belt. Okay, so example green belt. Cool. And it's gonna be what it is. I guess if you can try to keep your play simple-ish, then maybe do that.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired, so
Sure.
I'll
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. This is the end of your day, and
Okay, I'm going ahead and accept it.
okay, great. And then also, of course, I am gonna try to make the game as chaotic as possible. So,
Okay.
what would you say, Toby? Oh, I thought Toby
Should I
said
take
something.
notes on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna save the recording, so that'll always be there as well. But yeah, sure, whatever you like. Oh yeah, y'all can write in the chat too in this game. That's not visible on stream. It's also not visible to the people playing. But yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna I don't know. I'm just gonna start. Let's.
And you were wanting to say my thoughts as well, right?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I assume you can still beat me, even explaining your strategies.
All right, so he approached my corner, so I'm going to go ahead and defend nice and peaceful. He approached with the knight move. I'm going to defend with the knight move on the opposite side.
Because this is probably what I would do to. Well,
Can you link the game so we have a sync?
sure. Let me put the game in chat. There we go. Cool. Okay, so Joseki would be to either approach down with a knight's move or to attach. That's more like a more recent AI Joseki. But because when I'm playing y'all, I'm just trying to make the game. I mean, truly, I'm just trying to get it chaotic so that Joseki doesn't really help much, even if you do not. I'm gonna do this, which is an objectively bad move, and we'll watch Chris figure it out.
Well, so obviously white's trying to cut through my shape. I don't want white to cut through my shape, so I'm going to cover at J10 because it really strengthens my position and reduces white liberties down to 2.
Mm-hmm. And so a knight's move is cuttable, even in open space. So I could play h10 to cut, but I would worry. I am for sure certain that Chris will see it, and I think even y'all are starting to get to the point where you would see it. Is that you could ladder my J11 stone, and I'm not necessarily saying that's the exact right choice, but that's one way that you could keep your stones connected. So okay, I see that that's kind of an appropriate response. So now I'm just going to jump in the Sansan, see what happens.
So I see that white's trying to connect up all his stones. So the first thing I want to think about is how can I separate these stones? So my first thought would be to either go K11 or K10. Both ways separated, but I think in a big separation way, I'm gonna play L10.
Yeah, that feels appropriate to me. I would have liked L10 to connect my stones out there. So I'll just keep the stones connected that I can.
All right.
Apologies. Could y'all let me know in chat if like my pizza eating is audible?
I don't hear it.
Yeah, a lot of times Discord is good about like silencing weird noise though. Um, if y'all can hear me eating pizza, I'll stop. That's probably like a really gross sound when you're trying to listen to go.
So I'm probably gonna play. Do I want to play basic? I'll play that move. So I'm descending down. What I'm thinking is I'm reducing white space to live in that corner.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point of descending down at H12.
And just to note, it also notice like he's starting to build a vertical wall right here. We say it's vertical if it's perpendicular to the edge of the board. And
Can
that
I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Why is H12 better than J12?
Probably because it's more Sente. I don't know. It's stronger.
It leaves forcing moves, and it can also leave cutting points. You don't. And go. You want to have little cutting points as possible.
So it makes H10 scarier. Is that also?
A little bit. I probably could handle it.
Because I feel like playing H12
it's better to stay.
scary.
For a beginner, it's better to stay as connected as possible.
Okay.
You want to keep your stones connected. And the more cuts you have, the more easier your opponent can, well, cut you.
I got you.
Yeah, I agree. And but that is something to think about. It very often in Go, you'll have the opportunity to make that decision where you could sort of lean for a more aggressive position, or you can play strong for a more stable position. And so, especially in this kind of game where black is already ahead, I think the more stable position is better, right? Because you're basically just trying to defend to keep the lead that you have. So to put that in terms of a non 5-stone 13x13 handicap game, just when you're ahead, you can play more stable. You can play more strong, I think. But anyway, just to go off what I was saying as well. So there's a vertical wall being built here that starts to make territory on to the left of it, right? And this is also, I find, often kind of a difficult concept for beginners, right? So you're building a vertical wall and it's facing, it faces this way. If this wall were part of a house, this would be the house that it's part of to the left. Although if it kills my corner, then it's part of that too. so it's dual purpose.
It's supposed to put pressure on your opponent's stones while also building. You always want your moves to have dual purpose.
Mm-hmm. So just to point that out. So basically, even if white lives in the corner, black is still satisfied with the result. White won't have that many points, and black has made influence on the left side. Okay, so I will try to connect to my knight's move stone by playing under.
Right. So I don't want white to connect up. The only choice I have is M9, which if I play M9, white will have 2 liberties. Um, I will have 3 liberties, so white has to try to connect its M10 stone up.
Mm-hmm. So, for the beginners out there, if white tries to cut at L9, then do you see what you can play? The way that you can still keep white separated? I'll give you a sec to think about it. That's right! Okay, no, sorry. Yeah, so if white tries to cut, actually, I think I can put it in analysis mode. Yeah, if white cuts, black has this. And remember, this Atari on the second line toward the edge always kills that stone. It's dead. And so even if white tries to run, you get to kill. White wouldn't do that because it gives black so many more stones. But yeah, this is how you can keep that alive. So I'm not going to do that. I will just... I think in this case I need like... well, I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. So white actually added to his connection. I can't cut now. So now I have to worry about white cutting me. I can't let white cut me at L9. So I'm going to go ahead and connect solidly.
Cool. And yeah, that's kind of the simple variation, right? So another way black could fix the cut is M8. And another thing I think black could have done is M12. Because I think you could get that in Sente, but it's just another thing to think about. So now I will go ahead and play M12 because that starts to look like I shape for my corner, and my corner desperately needs I shape. So I will try to live very small, and in general, this is the kind of thing that black wants to happen, right? You start with all these influential black stones, and so if you play, if white invades your corners, it's okay to let that corner live, but if you contain it, that's so good because then you make points on the outside of it.
All right, so at this point, as I'm thinking as a beginner, do I really need to respond in this area? Not really. At this point, I'm gonna say that white easily is alive. So my next train of thought is where can I play elsewhere? Because now I have Sente. I have the initiative to play somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I am going to take a big move somewhere else. Let's see. I'm going ahead and go right there. Nice solid move.
Savage. All right. So, and that was really good too, right? So, looking for opportunities where you have Sente and you can play somewhere else without being severely punished, right? And that can be hard to find. I think often beginners, and instead of that, would have played something like J12, just because that's where the fight is happening, and you see that you can reduce white's potential for points by doing that. But white would be so happy if you did that because white can then play somewhere else on the board. You know, okay, good job. You took maybe 2 points away from me, but I'm going to go do something else that's more important on the board. So that was good timing for the Tanuki. Okay, so as white, I'm just trying to be chaos. Let's just drop on in there.
All right. So one thing you got to think about is which side do I want to cover? What's the biggest part of the board? You always want to go where you have the biggest potential to build. And when you're looking at it, definitely all you have to do is look at the board and count the intersections. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intersections between D4 and D10. So that's my widest area. And the shortest area would be between
What's up, Alex?
H11 and D10, and that's only 3 spaces. So when you're thinking it, you always want to go on the side that you can have the most potential to build territory. So I am going to play on C10.
So because that forces him from continuing down, because if you're happy if he continues right, where you already have a wall built. Yes.
Yeah, so he wants this wall here, which looks to make territory in this big area, instead of building a wall here, which looks to make territory in this tiny little thing, right? No big deal. And it's also just less threatening in general, right? Because, in this typical Joseki exchange, the two players start wandering, and eventually black usually seals it off, but it's kind of already sealed off with those H-line stones, so that's really nice. Alex, stop giving hints to my opponent. He doesn't need them. I'm just kidding. I appreciate your commentary in the chat.
I can't read them anyways. I'm not on Twitch, so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have to go back and forth between the game and the video.
Sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and keep you sealed in. So I'm going to go ahead and go E11.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'll just continue down with you.
So my stone has 2 liberties. I don't want you to put me in Atari. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my group strong and connected and extend to F11.
Nice. Oh, shoot. I was eating my pizza, and I was just going to make a few loud chomps. I knew they were going to be loud, so I muted my mic, but I only muted it on Discord, so sorry for anyone watching the stream. I chewed with reckless abandon. So, typically, often white would play something like F12, but because of these H-stones, I don't even know if black would respond to that. So I'm going to go ahead and just play B10 and kind of hope to settle my group, probably in Gotek. Alex, from your perspective, is my audio any better today? Yeah, the double Hane variation. I was thinking about that too.
I was trying to keep it simple, so.
Sure. Yeah. And yeah, Alex, that's one thing that I mentioned. So we're trying to show kind of some simple play for some of our earlier players. The double Hane variation is fun, and yeah, so white would get a Panuki out here, which Panukis tend to live, but it would be pretty dang trapped. So yeah, but yeah, I appreciate your decision there to keep it simple, Chris. So yeah, again, for the beginner players, right? So if I want to keep this stone alive, which I probably do, that's why I played it, I need to defend. And there are a few ways I could do it. I could just defend directly, which I think is okay. So I'll just do that. And then black actually has an option here to defend this cut or not. Well, I'll let you talk about it, Chris.
So this cut's actually pretty important because it leaves weakness in my shape, so I'm definitely going to protect it. It also strengthens my outside as well, with territory for me.
So, actually, I think I had this exact shape last night, and I didn't defend it. I think it worked fine, but it's a little bit shaky as to whether white needs to defend this or not. I don't know. Chris, do you know whether white owes a move here or not? Well,
it's live.
It's alive? Okay. In any case, I'm going to ignore it, right? Because in this handicap game, I have to do overplay as much as I can. And right now, you're not letting me do overplay, so which is good. So just taking a survey of the board, white has some points in this corner, some points in this corner. Look at all this potential that black has, right? This could all become black points. So at this point, white is getting increasingly desperate. So I could consider like another Sansan invasion in the bottom left, but goodness gracious, black would just have the whole center. So I'm going to do something a little bit more risky. I'm just going to attach. I'm going to see if some way through the chaos of an attachment, I can sort of weasel into the center or get a larger corner than I deserve. Something like that.
So you always want to hane from the corner side. It's usually the most strongest approach. Usually you get the most territory. It puts a lot more pressure on white stone too, and plus I have thickness above white stone.
Mm-hmm. So for sure, against in this actual game, I would crosscut here, not against an equally or better skilled opponent like now, but we're trying to just show, right? This is the kind of antics that I'm going to do during our belt test, and so Chris is kind of showing a way that you can improve. Andrew, nice. That's thick with 2 C's, son.
So you always want to protect the most weakest stone. So when you think of weakest stone, especially with crosscuts, you always want to think the stone that's most closest to the edge. The stone that's usually closest to the edge is usually the most weakest stone in the crosscut pattern. So the one that's at C3 is your most weakest stone. And there's a couple different options. I am going to extend my liberties to B3.
Yeah, awesome. And also, just to point out, usually in a crosscut scenario, it's so tempting to Atari one of the stones, but in my experience at least, the right decision is almost always an extension, which feels less severe, but often it's just as severe. Very often, when you make that extension, you're threatening to kill a stone in the same way you would have if you Atari'd it, but this way you have fewer cutting points, right? So when black makes this extension, if I ignore, for example, we can see he can easily kill c4 by playing c5, and that's a ladder, right? And so it's the same threat as if he had played b4. He's threatening to kill my stone, but he doesn't have the cutting points that he had before, right? So it's very nice. So my little scheme now, I'm Atariing. I'm hoping he runs here, and I want to give him some territory on the side, and my hope is that somehow I live on the bottom and get into the middle. That's...
So obviously I have to extend because I'm an Atari.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Andrew said, but black should play to live, not kill, since he's ahead. Yes? I think in this case it's synonymous. In a crosscut scenario, usually, I mean, it depends on where it is, but very often something's going to die. So sometimes to live, you have to kill. Oh, sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that. My dog wants in. I'll let him in a sec. And white doesn't really have any good options here, so I'll just play something and let you punish it. Okay, so we're going to play here, and I'll be right back. I'll let the dog in.
Alright. I'll go ahead and use some of my time since he's running out low on his. So white left a major cutting point. If you notice, the stone at D3 has 2 liberties. So immediately I can put D3 in Atari immediately, which attacks white 3 stones as a group.
Nice. Yeah, so, and this is something that I think would be tempting for a lot of beginners, is you see, wow, I've surrounded c4, I'm going to kill it. And there's no reason to do it, right? Because it's probably going to die anyway. So right now it's better to do other things on the board. You can kill that stone later or just swallow it and it'll be removed at the end of the game. So I'll run. This at least threatens f3. So I'm just hoping that black, does something something passive like c2 or something. I don't know.
Okay, so I want to make sure my cutting stone doesn't die. Because now if I ignore the situation, White can play either E2 and put me in Atari, or White can play F3 and put my Blackstone Atari. And I don't want that to happen. I want to keep my stone alive and keep White's group very weak. So I'm gonna go drop down, and I'm gonna take less liberties away from White. So White has 2 liberties versus my group, which has 3 liberties.
Yep. And so, yeah, I'm just going to try and keep what stones I can somewhat unified and threaten F2 in kind of a way, right? So if I play F2, if black plays somewhere else and I play F2, I kill him, so that's good. He's probably not going to ignore it.
I'm just gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna go ahead and capture these stones because it's important to make sure he doesn't capture my black stones.
Sure. And I'll go ahead. The only thing I can get out of that is I'm going to force him to take those stones, right? I'm going to put his cutting stones in Atari just so I can get an extra little stone down here. Maybe it makes an eye later. I don't know. And so, yeah, I force him to take there. It would be nice to make some shape out here, so I'll go ahead and just do this.
So one thing you want to think about with life and death. I know life and death can kind of be like really scary, but one thing you want to look at is where are the eyes starting to form? So we have a potential eye maybe at F4 and maybe a potential eye if White plays something like H2. So what I want to do to keep White weak is I want to make sure that White does not have potential to make 2 eyes. So I want to poke out 2 of those eyes. So I'm going to play H2 to take away White's eye.
Very annoying. So H2 would have been a really nice move for me because it kind of threatens for me to jump into the corner. It also looks to sort of make an eye around G2. So yeah, that's pretty devastating. And also, another proverb bingo, right, is that your opponent's best move is your best move. And I don't know if H2 is my best move. It's hard to say there's any good move here. But it's a move that I would have liked to play. And when he plays it instead, it's that's kind of another like sort of dual purpose sort of thing to think about. When both of you want to play somewhere on the board, first person to play there has an advantage. Okay. Table shape. And another thing to note here, right? So black had built all this potential in the center. But I would say even if white lives in the center right now, black still wins. Because black's going to get a very large left side and bottom left corner. And looks like a very large bottom right corner too. So it's kind of white's sort of doomed either way at this point, right? And so it's just been all these sort of containing moves that sort of shape white and build your shape.
So I want to make sure that I surround white effectively, and I also want to make sure that I'm surrounding the biggest area. So the most biggest area for me right now is on the right side. Not the left side, but the right side. It also is the most open area, and I also don't want white to connect his stone back up with L8. So I'm going to do a big surrounding move at J6.
Gross. Okay. So, my white group is pretty much dead. So, let me see if I can do something else. One of the weaknesses that black left when he played L9 was that I get to play M8. Oh, actually, not really, because that group needs to live. Well, so usually the sequence would be white. Let me show it with variation here. White can play here, and then black can play here. And so in this way, it's kind of a nice way to start invasion. White can consider trying to jump out or something. I don't think it works on this particular board, but sometimes. But actually, especially on this particular board, white actually needs to come back, I think, and make eye shape. maybe not. Maybe if white jumped out and black played N10, white could play J12.
4 periods left.
Okay, well, we'll see. Oh yeah, I did lose life.
All right, so I definitely do not want white to connect up, so I gotta drop down, make sure that white doesn't connect up. Let's see here.
Yo me.
So I feel N9 does the most damage because I can also now play N10. So again, I don't want white going into my corner, so I'm gonna go ahead and play L4. It also puts pressure on white's area. Going down again, making sure my corner territory is good. So here's kind of a life and death thing, a shape called the bulky 5. If you notice, it's at L7, M7, N7, and then L6 to M6 and N6 kind of creates that bulky 5 shape. So I want to hit one of the critical points, so I'm going to play right here.
And I'm going to link bulky 5 in the chat, just in case anyone wants to check that out. Yeah, very annoying, very annoying. I can sort of get this move for free because I'm threatening to connect with my other group, which maybe has one eye.
Of course, I'm going to disconnect. So I'm going to connect as solidly as possible so white has no potential to attack me or cut me. So I'm going to keep protecting my area.
And so Chris mentioned the bulky 5 and kind of knowing the weak points of that. But I do want to mention, even though of course it's good to know the bulky 5, you don't really need to. Of course, any of these situations you can kind of use general go reasoning to find key points. And also, even if you end up not killing that group, again, I think black still wins quite easily. In this case, Chris is doing both. I think he's going to kill the group, but he's also containing it. Even if white did live, it'd be fine.
So now white only has one big eye.
Yep. And that's not enough for life.
Yep.
But I'm going to try. We're just going to watch it die because I think that'd be, for some people, that's valuable. If any of y'all are new in the chat, feel free to say hi. Kind of the reason that I started this was to build some community. And if you've been here before, say hi so I can see you again. Alex, are you still here? I'd be surprised. You're probably bored out of your mind, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, Alex seemed kind of strong, so he's probably left.
Yeah, I think Alex is like 5K or something. Nice, still here. Just enjoying watching me suffer, you know.
So I did a little bit of reading. I can actually play away because white is dead. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a big point, a big end game point.
And at this point, my spirit is crushed. Because not only is white dead here and dead here, but I'm dead in Gote. Which means that I played a move and he ignored, and it's still going to die. Yeah, I think at this point I would just resign, right? This entire bottom of the board is blacks. I can make the top left corner live. I can make the top right corner live, but obviously that's not enough to win the game. So,
yeah, unfortunately, when with groups, you gotta make sure you have enough space to live.
mm-hmm.
And as a kind of for me personally, when I'm
10,
thinking about if a
9,
group can live,
8,
I always think about the
7,
smallest.
pass.
What's the smallest group on the board that can possibly live? And it's actually well, with in game and everything, it's 6 stones. It takes 6 stones for the most smallest group to live. That's in the corner. So that's kind of always a back burner thought when you're thinking about groups. It takes like 6 stones to live.
And that's in a corner, you know. And so if I'm trying to live in the side or in the center, it's so much more. Yeah. And yeah, actually, Alex makes a good point. Just for illustration, I should have shown H9.
I don't know if I can undo.
You can pass if you want, and then we can dispute the score. Cancel and resume.
Game resumed.
Okay.
Okay.
And actually, Alex, that's a really good point. This is the kind of move that I would have aimed for in so for those just joining, what we're illustrating here is what we call the green belt test in our club, which means you have to beat one of the teachers with a 5-stone handicap on a 13 by 13 board. So some of our members are kind of hitting that wall. And so I just wanted to show Chris destroying me with a 5-stone handicap, just to illustrate some simple play. But yeah, this is absolutely one of the cuts that I would aim at in one of those games.
Yep. So I'm just going to play very solidly. I'm just going to go ahead and connect right up.
Yeah. Right. And so just to illustrate, you know, and so often, right, in our reviews, Andrew and Toby, especially, I know this has happened a lot, where we'll get to some point in the game and we're like, oh, actually this one point was really important. And just because you didn't see that one thing, the whole game kind of turned on its head. And in this case, I suspect black can still win, even if I make that cut. But let's say black had played here for some reason. I'm not sure why. When white makes this cut, now it's a capture race. It's true that white does not have 2 eyes on this side, but also this little black stick also does not have 2 eyes. And so now one of them has to die, or they can have a thing called Seki. Probably, almost certainly, one of them is going to die, and then the other will live, basically using the corpse of that previous group as their eye, which is, we should make an emote for that, like a corpse eye. But yeah, and I think white almost certainly wins the capture race if I can make the H10 cut. But, you know, so again, let's say that happens. So white gets this like quadrant of the board, which is huge. White gets a little top left corner, but black has the rest of the board. And so I think probably black still wins.
Yeah, what Alex just said.
Oh, that's a good point. 1 eye versus no
right.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we talk about like Seki, if both of the groups fighting each other have 1 eye, then Seki can happen. If neither of them have an eye, then Seki can happen. But if one of them has an eye and the other one doesn't have any eyes, then it's a really big advantage. Okay, cool. So now I will
9,
resign.
8. Black wins.
You
have won.
Good game. Thank you, Chris, for illustrating that.
No problem.
+4, nice. You got to be especially bored. So +4 for those of you who were here last night was the one who was just obliterating me, and is near Clausius's strength, which I think is what, like 3 or 4 down these days, AGA. Yeah, but also did some teaching games. Do I want a teaching game? Could be good. So I wanted to be a little bit careful with my stream engagement today because today is like Go Club, and I never have streamed Go Club before, and I kind of want it to be for the club. So I'll kind of leave it up to y'all. Tom, you've been kind of sitting over there a little quieter. Do you have any ideas? Would you like to play, or we could do our tournament like we've done before? What do y'all feel like doing?
I'm chill with whatever.
Hey, I have a question
Yeah, shoot.
about move 58.
Okay.
It was the M7 for black instead. I was wondering
Review
why
started.
it was M7 over N7.
I think both probably work. So black here, you're wondering. Yeah, I think that's fine. If white fixes the Atari, then black can probably still play M7, right, and be satisfied. I think even black could probably still ignore here. I don't know how white lives if black plays somewhere else. So yeah, I think either option is fine there. In this case, and just instead of thinking about directly Atariing pieces of the group, he was just thinking about making sure white has one giant eye instead of having a way to dissect the group into two separate eyes. So
Yeah, I was keeping it very simple.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't trying to do anything tricky.
Okay.
I have a question for
Makes
Chris. Could you talk about why you played J3 at like the kind of it was like one of your first moves in the game after the top right corner. Could you talk about why you played J3 as opposed to maybe like a broader move like G3 or something like that? Because I feel like that's a trap that I always get into.
and
So move
Chris,
14.
I gave you move 14. Sorry, Chris, I gave you control of the review. If you can drive and we'll all be able to see the variations that you're showing.
Wait, which move again?
14.
Yeah,
Move?
yeah. Could you just talk about why you played J3 as opposed to another move?
J3 makes it harder for white to actually invade the corner, and because our sides are a lot smaller than the 19 by 19, it felt like it was still a pretty good move to solidify the bottom even. And that could be a wrong thinking, but I felt like that was an okay move.
Mm-hmm. That diagonal make. Sorry, go
The
ahead.
main reason why is because it makes it to where white can't invade L3 as easy. That was the main focus.
And maybe it's not the right move on like a large 19 by 19, where you just decide you want the corner. Maybe there you need to spread your wings a little bit. But I think given the situation, the context of the game, yeah, good. I agree. That's a great move.
Yeah, you got to play a little bit differently on the smaller boards compared to the bigger boards.
Yeah, Alex said beginners usually undervalue the corner and overvalue the sides. They think that after one move in the corner, they should play the side, but actually they should play a second move in the corner. Yeah, I'm streamer brained right now. I can't quite visualize what we're talking about with the first and second move, but agreed in principle. Yeah, and that's why a few weeks ago before I was streaming, we did a lesson that was just like corner, sides, middle, right, and just showing the efficiency of getting those corners and how valuable they are.
Maybe he means
It's
as
opening
opposed to
theory.
What were you saying, Andrew?
maybe he means instead of playing like J3, like sometimes people play like G line for getting toward that corner. Because I know I've done it.
Sure. Yeah, meaning that a corner enclosure is usually bigger than a side move. Yeah, and I do that a lot too. So yeah, I know Andrew when he is tanukied in places like this. Yeah, you've played like G4 or D7, and it's hard for me to call those moves wrong. But yeah, when you enclose a corner, you still get to have a lot of influence on the sides, especially on a board this small, Plus, you add so much strength to that corner, which is so valuable. So yeah, probably better to do that.
It does, like I said, it does give you influence because the board is so much smaller. So that move like this is just really strong.
Yeah. Cool. All right, well, good game. Do y'all want to do our little 9x9 tournament that we usually do? And I guess we can invite chat to join.